Yeah, page Chavav. So the Divrei Maschil of this Maamar, which we also will be reading this Shabbos, which is Parsha Shkolim, is Kisisa Shreis B'nei Yisrael. So the last point we learned yesterday is that just like when it comes to Karbanis in the Beis HaMikdash, what happens? A fire has to come down min hashamayim to burn and consume the actual carbon on the Mizbeach. If you bring a carbon and there's no fire in the Beis HaMikdash to consume it, so then nothing has been done. There's no carbon here. Same thing is also with our Avodah today, that Rebbe writes, that the way our Avodah is done, what makes it possible that our Avodah should be effective and should get elevated to go up, is through the Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu is the fire, so to speak, that comes down from heaven, and he's the Raya Mehemna, he's the faithful shepherd to assist all Yidden in being able to do their Avodah. So the Rebbe continues on page Chavav. To understand the connection to this idea that we spoke about here. That just like there's a carbon that's an assistance and consumes the carbon on the Mizbeach, the same is also with Moshe Rabbeinu. He's the faithful shepherd. To him the Torah is giving the mitzvah and saying that you will count the Yidden. You're looking for? Oh. This is what should be given. The Yidden should be counted through the Machzas HaShekel. As Hinei Nikrehu Raya Mehemna. The term that's used in Zoya, that Moshe is called a faithful shepherd, is Al Shem Sheroya Sa'amuna Zon Umefarnesaisa. That Moshe Rabbeinu feeds the Amunah, he sustains the Amunah in Yidden. So the simple pshat of Raya Mehemna is that he's a faithful shepherd. But according to this pshat, there's a second pshat in Raya Mehemna. Raya means that he feeds, he's a shepherd that feeds Mehemna the Amunah. So it's two different things. He feeds the Amunah to Yidden. Why do you have to feed the Amunah to Yidden? Doesn't every single Yid have the Amunah naturally in his neshama? The Amunah is not something that a person knows of because of anything that he was educated with. That is there in his very neshama. As the Alter Rebbe explains in Tanya, every Yid believes, and Yidden are all referred to as Maminim b'nei Maminim. The reason why Moshe Rabbeinu has to feed the Amunah, Amunah itself can be something which is makif. It doesn't affect the person b'pnimius. It's something that comes from the neshama, but it remains makif, all-encompassing. It doesn't affect and change the person internally. The expression of the Gemara that Chassidus always quotes is that the person may be a thief. It's in this week's parsha actually, when a person digs a machteres, he digs a cave under somebody's house with the intention to go and steal, and he's even ready to kill whoever will confront him. So this is a person that's not in good shape as far as his behavior is concerned, but at the same time, he's there in the cave and he's trying to get into someone's house to steal money. He's calling out to Hashem to ask him for help, that he should be successful in what he's doing. The Dakos, and on a more subtle level, this is obviously a person where there's a major discrepancy in what he's doing here. His actions and his davening to the Eibishter are absolute opposites. The Dakos, on a more subtle degree, Efshel Limtzai, this idea that a person's Amunah does not affect who he is, this could be found with all Balei Yisek, all people that work and have to rely, so to speak, on their parnasa, the means of nature. A Yid has that natural amunah, and he knows that the Eibush is the one that gives him all the energy he has to go out there and to do whatever he has to. The person puts his head and he immerses himself in all kinds of schemes. And because his head gets completely immersed in this, it disturbs him, it confuses him, it doesn't allow him any peace of mind to be able to learn and daven the way he should be. And also to be able to keep to the set shiurim of Torah that even a man that's working should have. It's going to demand of a person to be in two opposite places at the same time, which is impossible. If his head is completely immersed, as the Rebbe uses the lashon misamik, if the head is completely immersed in his tachbulus of his work, his head is not free to be available for learning, for going to a shir, to daven, and to be able to focus on his davening. The same is also possible to happen with people that are not going out to work. They're sitting and learning Torah in the tent of Torah. Shamayim, the person believes, as far as Amunah is concerned, the person has the belief that the Torah that he's learning is the Eibishter's will, the Eibishter's wisdom. But at the same time, when he learns and he's successful and he's able to accomplish in his learning, to understand and so on, the person may pride himself with this. And needless to say that it's going to be a problem if his entire learning is for this purpose, to be able to pride himself and to show that I'm greater than somebody else, I know more than someone else, I understand better than someone else. So that doesn't mean that this individual is a kafir. He doesn't understand that the Torah he learns is the Eibishter's Torah. He has the emunah that it's the Eibishter's Torah. And the person has the emunah how be'ena reich greater than him the Eibishter is. But at the same time, his nefesh bahamis and his ego is not in check. And he's learning with the purpose to pride himself in the Torah that he learns. And now the result is also, when it comes to learning Torah, this has a result which you don't have, what the Rebbe said before. It's a similar thing, but you have a result when you get to a person that learns Torah. What happens? He may sometimes explain something, not exactly in the straight way, the way it is, but he'll go a little bit off the path and explaining a concept. As long as he'll have the upper hand if he's having an argument, a discussion with somebody about the idea that he's learning, he'll be ready to go a little bit off path and not interpret it properly to have the upper hand. So similar to what we said before, that the issue of a person immersing himself too deeply into his work, that it doesn't allow him to daven and learn like a mensch, the same thing is also the issue over here of a person priding himself and having the gaiva in his learning. It's not just the issue of his attitude. It actually affects the quality of his learning as well. He won't be honest. He won't be honest in his learning to be ready to admit to somebody else that understood something better than him and to learn things properly. In order for a person to be able to take that amunah that he has and apply it, that it should affect his attitude and his lifestyle and what he's involved in. Here you have to take that amunah that the neshama has and bring it down and connect it to the person, that it should affect him internally, that he should actually live and feel this amunah. B'kaychis nafshay, starting with all the kaychis of his soul, and sheisnagu b'poyel massive lamunaseh, that the behavior of his nefesh and the way he learns, the way he davens, the way he goes to work, should all be in sync with his amunah of his neshama. This is accomplished. How does a person connect that the amunah that he has should come b'pnimius and should affect him and change his attitude and change his lifestyle? This is through his bainanus. When a person thinks very seriously, taking it to heart, realizing that this is important for my soul, and connect and affix his thoughts very, very strongly, in order that whatever outcome, whatever emotional outcome there is from his understanding shouldn't just be a fleeting emotional thing that comes and goes and it's not real, it's not permanent, it doesn't really internally change the person. To make that internal change is a lot of work of his bainanos, where a person has to take it very serious and apply it to himself, focus on it very strongly. Where is this bainanos? What should a person be contemplating in order to draw his amunah down, in order to make his amunah more real? It's known, there's a big distinction between the amunah that comes after a person learns and investigates and studies the greatness of the Eibishter with his own seichel. That's what's called chochmas achkira, philosophies. The amunah chassidei u'masayla. This is an amunah that's even possible by a guy that could learn and could understand and could come to the awareness that the Eibishter created the world and see the greatness of the Eibishter within everything that goes on in the world. And the amunah is b'nei Yisrael. And then there's amunah of the Yidden. The amunah of the Yidden is infinitely greater, completely different thing what the Yidden have amunah in. The difference is the Goyim, they can come and see the energy of the Eibishter that's in the world, that's invested in this world, the way things function and the way things work, the greatness of the sciences and all kinds of things that they can see in the Eibishter's energy in the world. Then the slave of Kalaman, recognizing the existence of the Eibishter that's completely removed of this world. So there's Chayes HaMeslabish V'Nifrat L'Prot. There's the energy of the Eibishter that's enclosed in this world and comes down into details. In each specific category, there's Daimim Tzemeach Chayim Medaber, and then there's details of those details. There's this specific level of Chayes which is very limited and defined according to the details that it enters into. On this level, the world exists. The premise is that there's a reality, there's a world that's here that exists. It's dependent and relying on the chayes, on the energy of Hashem that's in it every single moment. But the point is that there's this prat, daimim is not tzemeach is not chay. Every single thing, not only it exists, but it exists in its own way with its own nature, having and relying on the chayes of the Eibishter in it. That's the extent of the emunah, of the how far the recognition and the emunah of a goy can go. Shem Elikim. This is Shem Elikim, which limits and mitzamtzim and brings the chayes into each thing according to its level. Then you have a different level of amunah, soiv kolalmi, which is makiv kloli l'mayla matam vadas mischalkos. The fact that the Eibishter soiv kolalmi, he encompasses and includes everything equally, from the highest to the lowest worlds. And munas b'nei Yisrael. This is also the reason why, when it comes to Goyim, so they were not commanded on Shittuf that there's any other powers that are combined, that are partners together with the Eibishter in running the world. Only Yidden were commanded on Shittuf, as opposed to Avodah Zarah. Avodah Zarah is when a person believes that the Eibishter is, there's the belief that the Eibishter is a power that created the world, and then there's Avodah Zarah, that there's another power, Chas v'Shalom, that created the world. That's Avodah Zarah. Shittuf is another story. Shittuf is that you believe that the Eibishter created the world and he's in control of everything, but he also appointed Chavim, Azalei, Sarim, ministers that are helping bring that Ashba into the world, and they have a significance of their own, they even have a Bechira of their own. That's the idea of Shittuf. So Goyim Lahavdol are not commanded not to believe in Shittuf. It's only a for Yidden. Okay?
So what does it mean when he has boinus? Is his boinus, and then he goes on to describe how you can have as boinus, which would be for Goyim and for Chikira.
Correct.
How do you have his boinus?
No, it's a different Inyan. The Rebbe didn't finish off the Inyan. The Hine is a Hagdama. So this is all in a Hagdama. So the Hagdama here is that the Seiv Kalaman and Mamal Kalaman. Hayais regarding a Yid, the Amunah is in Seiv Kalaman, so that his Bainanus is also going to have to relate to Seiv Kalaman. Hayais, what's the purpose of this Bainanus? There's a person that's there, his Bainanus is about contemplating and understanding a concept, and that's it. Over here, the whole purpose of the Bainanus is to draw the Amunah B'Pnimius. So if the Amunah of Yidden is in Seiv Kalaman, his Bainanus is also going to have to be Benegeh to Seiv Kalaman. That's where the Rebbe was heading with this.
In other words,
the Rebbe didn't conclude the point.
In other words, his mistakes and his mistakes in the
which mistakes?
Paragraph was that he was thinking like Goy.
Gamba Pumachtar Tarachmona Karya. That one. Why? Over there, he has the Amunah of the Neshama. The point of Gamba Pumachtar Tarachmona Karya is not that his Amunah is flawed. The Amunah is pure and perfect. The problem, though, is that it doesn't connect to him. His ego his Amunah is bouncing off, and therefore the Amunah doesn't penetrate and affect his behavior. But the Amunah itself is a pure, high Amunah that a Yid has in Seiv Kalaman and even higher. Elamai is to have his Bainanus, to connect it to his Mitzias, that it should actually change him. That's the Nekuda here, no?
Maybe what he's trying to say by saying, but why is he being almost all on here? Because he's thinking, because the way he's thinking is that even though he's got the Makif in him, but it's Behelim. So, but Chitzonius, he's thinking like a Goy. He's thinking
possibly. But
Al-Khair means all of us are that dag of Gamba Pumachtar.
To some extent or another. The
Right,
says
right.
Gamba Pumachtar.
Right.
Literally, and then there's bedakas.
Right.
Not everyone is on the level of a bank robber.
Okay, so that's where the last paragraph comes in.
And then you have,
but that's where the last paragraph comes in. How do you internalize to his bainus? It has to be
but his
worked on.
bainus is save of kalaman.
Yeah.
His bainus has to be in save of kalaman, not in mamal kalaman. Because see that's the chiddush over here. Because usually when you talk about amunah is makif. Amunah is also connecting to save of kalaman. When you talk about his bainus, you might think, okay, amunah and save of kalaman I have already. What do I need his bainus for that? That's what the whole idea of amunah is, connecting to a level that's removed of our reality, and therefore I could only access it through amunah. When it comes to his bainus, what's his bainus about? Oh, that connects to mamal kalaman. That's where my seichel is thinking, and I could connect the things that I could understand, the hakbala of the Eibusher, the way his chayes is in this world. So the Rebbe is going to explain here, we'll see it in the Hanocha of the Maamar. This is the Rebbe that wrote with his own Ksabet Kodesh, that even the Isbaininus is also in Seiv of Kalaman. Not only the Amunah.
And that comes from Moshe Rabbeinu.
And which the Kayach to do that comes from Moshe Rabbeinu, correct. So let's begin the Maamar again. It's the same Maamar. It's the Hanocha.
Yeah.
It's the Hanocha from the it's the same Maamar.
No need to stop it.
Okay. Kisisa, you ready? Kisisa Sreish B'nei Yisrael Tzorach Lahavin Dahab Lele Meima Kisifka Des B'nei Yisrael. The Lashon, the more common Lashon, what we should have said over here is, if you'll count the Yidden, or Mao Diaka Lashon Kisisa. Why does he use the term Kisisa, which also means he will raise up? V'gam Kisisa Es Reish Dafke. He will raise up the head. He ne Rashi Pirish. Rashi explains Kishatach B'etz Lekabel Schum in Yonam. You want to get the total sum of how many Yidden there are. Ladas Kamaheim Al Timnim Lagul Gailas. Don't take a head count. Kadesh Bem Negev, so it doesn't cause a plague amongst them. Rather, each one of the Yidden should give a half a shekel. V'timnes hashkolim. Then you count the coins. V'teidam in yonam, and you'll know the number, how many Yidden there are. Fi pirish, according to this pshat, hine ya'in yidichisisa ein a mitzvah. The idea of kisisa is not a mitzvah. Ki'im dvar rishus. This is something of rishus, because that's the lashon that Rashi says. If you want to know, if you're just curious, you want to know how many Yidden there are, don't count them, because then it causes a plague. Count the coins, and then you'll see the amount of Yidden. It doesn't use a lashon of a chiyuv. The Medrash in the Medrash it says, Sha'amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Leich Manei Es Yisrael Chulu. Go and count the Yidden. So the lashon of the Medrash is making it clear that it's not something which is a reshus. The Eibush is not just telling you the mechanism of how to count if you're interested, but it's telling Moshe Rabbeinu, go and count. And the way to count is through the Machzas HaShekel, since the Eibush gives the mitzvah to count, so the Eibush also says how to count in the proper way, that it shouldn't cause a plague. In the Medrash you clearly see that it is a mitzvah. However, even according to the Medrash that clarifies that it's a mitzvah, it's only a mitzvah for that time period. It's not a command for future generations. Not only isn't it, but on the contrary, when he was asked to take account of how many Yidden there are, he said, I don't want to count them. The Eibusher should add and multiply them. There should be more and more. He avoided counting the Yidden because there's an Indian not to count. It should be without an ayin hara, and it shouldn't bring any plague. So in future generations there's no mitzvah to count. Besides this mitzvah of counting, there's other things that we learn from this parsha. The pasuk says, you take the money, the machzas shekel, and it should be used for the building of the Mishkan. What is that? So Rashi says that the machzas shekel were used for the silver adonim that were the sockets of the kroshim. Hainu meaning sha'av shenesinas machzas shekel avura adonim loyhoya lepamacha. So over here as well, we could compare it to the mitzvah of counting the Yidden. That was a one-time thing. Using the machzas hashekel for the adonim was also a one-time thing. It was used then, showing his money. It was used then just one time for the Adonim. Kol Mokum, however, Nas Mizeh Inyan Tmidi. Did I skip a line or something?
No.
Am I good? Okay. Kol Mokum, however, Nas Mizeh Inyan Tmidi. These Adonim are not just a one-time count, but it's there. It was used constantly for the 40 years that the Yidden were in the Midbar. Sharei Mishkan Kaim La'ad Eloyel Me'olamim. And then even later, all the parts of the Mishkan, the Kroshim, the Adonim, and the Kalim, they were all hidden under the ground in the base of Mikdash, and they're there intact forever. Right? The Gemara says, "Ma'isi de Moshe Nitzchian." Since Moshe Rabbeinu put up the Mishkan, so whatever he created is forever, and therefore remains forever. Third thing, then there's a third detail we learn from this parsha. You could see this also in the pasuk in Divrei Yomim in Nach. Mitzvahs machtas hashekel l'deiros. The mitzvah of machtas hashekel, which is every single year for all future generations. This is a mitzvah for every year. Chiyuv Tmidi. It's a constant, it's a yearly obligation. B'chol shana v'shana losses machtas hashekel l'lishkas hamikdash. To give the machtas hashekel for the lishka and the beis hamikdash. V'shamoy makririn karbanas atzibur chulu. And from these machtas hashekel, they brought the karbanas. K'mafurish b'mishnah shkolim, as the Mishnah says in Shkolim, it goes has every single year, and it begins the chodesh Adar. Be'echad ba'adam mashmiin al shkolim. Omnam ba'in the machtas hashekel l'deiros. When it comes to the mitzvah to give the machtas hashekel every year in all generations, hurak nesinas machtas hashekel. Today the mitzvah is just to give the half a shekel. I mean, today we don't have the mitzvah, but in the time of the Beis HaMikdash, the mitzvah is to give the half a shekel. And to know and to count the machzah shekel, to get the number of how many Yidden there are, there's no mitzvah for that. Mashma is the gam loy mono. It's mashma in some places that they never actually counted the machzah shekel. It was placed into this big. What was it called? A big pushka, and they used it, but they never actually counted how many coins there were. Okay, Yikshev. So the question here is the Mishitchi is Lashna Parsha Mashma the L'chol in Yonei Parsha Shayeches HaAgdama the Chisisa Reish B'nei Yisrael. That all of the details that the Parsha says, which means not only the fact that in this Parsha it says that they're counted, but also the fact that it says in this Parsha that it's used for the Adonim, and also the fact that it says that it's used for the Machzas HaShekel for the Karbanis. So Chol in Yoni HaParsha Shayeches Agdama the Kisisas Reish B'nei Yisrael. This that it says that Yidden are being counted relates to all of the details that are said of this Parsha. The Chisisa Hutnai V'Ikir B'Chol in Yoni HaParsha. It's a condition, and this is the Ikir of everything that it says. Well, that's not true. When it comes to the mitzvah to take the Machzas HaShekel of the Karbanis, it was just that. It's not Kisisa, which means counting. The counting that was only one time then that Moshe Rabbeinu had the mitzvah, but the other details that it says in the parsha are not connected and totally in the counting. The Adonim is a separate inyan, and for sure the Karbanis, the Machzas HaShekel that was used for the Karbanis is a separate inyan, and the Dafka didn't count them. There's no inyan of counting a future generation. So what's the pshat on the pasuk here? Okay. Shabbos.